Greetings! Welcome back to another episode of Porygondolier. On the 25th of December 1999, I received my copies of Pokémon Red and Blue, along with an Atomic Purple Game Boy Color, and from that day on, I could scarcely be found doing anything else. I'm not sure if this was a common experience with other players of the generation or not, but I have a lot of nostalgia for a very special Farfetch'd. For the uninitiated amongst my wonderful viewers, I'd like to introduce you to Dux. Dux is the only Farfetch'd in the game and can be obtained by trading a Spearow to the young trainer in this house in Vermillion City. As a Pokemon obtained through a trade, Dux will disobey instructions if the player has insufficient badges to keep it in check. As a child, this mechanic was hilarious to me, and I wanted to do this run to pay homage to that long-lost Farfetch'd from my childhood. Of course, it wouldn't be right to just change my starter to Farfetch'd. No. Dux is an in-game trade-only bird, so we're going to trade for it. But I'm not waiting until we get to Vermillion either, so in this special run through the game, the good professor will trade me Dux for my Charmander. And today, this is the only change I've made to the game. Thanks, Professor. Now let's see how Dux fares against John. Dux comes with a solid starting moveset in Peck and Sand Attack, and we can simply peck away at John's Squirtle until it decides to stop fighting. At this point in time, Dux is in the level 10 or under club, so it listens to what I have to say, but as we'll see, this won't last. As much as I love Peck, with 35 base power and flying type physical damage, the Brock fight is not happening under level 10. So to kick things off, I'm going to peck John again, and then peck some bug catchers. Dux gets Leer at level 7, and now at level 11 it enters its rebellious phase. Let's talk about it. The obedience level cap starts at 10, and Pokemon from other trainers above that level sometimes do what you ask, but largely muck around and make winning battles really difficult. By getting badges, we can increase the level cap. The first helpful badge is the Cascade badge from Misty that brings the level cap up to 30. After choosing an attack, some maths happens involving random numbers, the level cap, and your favourite waterfowl's level. At the moment, Dux is level 12, and the cap is level 10. There is a 45.5% chance that it will do as asked, a 24.8% chance it will use a different move instead, a 0.2% chance it will take a nap and the same odds for taking confusion damage, and finally, a 29.3% chance it won't do anything at all. As the Pokemon's level increases, these odds change as well. Here is an extreme example of a level 100 Duck before beating Misty. Let's leave this graphic over here. Back to the run, and with some more bugs pecked, we can peck this guy that is confused about light years. He sends out a Diglett which uses Scratch, Dux pecks. Diglett scratches, Dux turns away. Diglett scratches, Dux pecks, and Diglett is defeated. If anyone knows how Diglett was scratching me without any hands, please let me know down in the comments. Up against Sandshrew, Peck knocks off about a fifth. Critical hit Peck does big damage. Dux agrees to peck again. And again. Now at level 14, we're ready to take on Brock. I come with a long-winded strategy involving Sand Attack, Leer, and you guessed it, Peck. In other words, all of Dux's moves, because it's not like I have much say in what it uses anyway. Time for some high-speed commentary. Geodude tackle, Dux peck, it's not very effective. Defense curl, sand, curl, ignored orders, tackle, sand, curl, won't obey, tackle, attack miss, peck, still not very effective, peck, tackle, Dux is on its last leak, peck it again, you can do it Dux, sand attack, tackle, missed again, loafing around, won't obey, curl, Leer, tackle, missed, ignored orders, peck, tackle, missed, Dux turned away, cool lands, Dux fainted. When I said we were ready, I'm sorry, I might not have been completely truthful there. In fact, we're miles off winning this fight, so here's a short training montage while I go through some useless facts about Farfetch'd that you didn't need to know. The Japanese name of Farfetch'd literally translates to duck leak. Come on. A bit on the nose, but I like it. It makes me wonder how Pokemon names that just describe the monster might have gone down in the West. In the 1997 Space World demo of Gold and Silver, our bird actually had an evolution known only as
Madame.
This was sadly scrapped.
Madame.
The Galarian version of Farfetch'd, come on, holds a larger leek that is based on the Scottish-grown giant Musselburgh. These monstrous leeks come in lengths up to 15 inches, diameters up to 3 inches. So, now you know. Here Dux takes a nap against a level 4 Weedle. I enjoyed this moment so much, it made it into the video thumbnail. And after one more level up, it's Brock o'clock once again. Even at level 18, this fight is tedious, taking around 8 in-game minutes to defeat Geodude. But defeat Geodude we do. Now I come into the Onix fight with just 20 HP, and I just have to hope that Dux doesn't use Peck or Fury Attack while Onix is charging up Bide. So of course, that is exactly what happens. And then, the same thing happens again. Dux is left with just 2 HP, and the fight seems to be all but over. But then, while hanging on by a thread, Dux manages to land a Fury Attack, followed by a Peck, and finally, with nearly 2 hours on the clock, the Boulder Badge is mine. I'd like to point out that it has taken almost as long to beat Brock as it does for Mewtwo to clear the entire game. The next objective is to get the Cascade Badge as soon as possible, while gaining as few levels as possible. After all, the badge isn't much help if Dux is already over level 30. But I need to actually get there first, and I did lose once to the Fossil Maniac in Mount Moon. When I arrive at Misty's gym, Dux is level 22, with the odds of it obeying down to 31.3%. Dux does good damage when it chooses to attack, but the Staryu is much more difficult than it should be. Dux takes some 2.2% odds confusion damage. It turns away, loafs around, and after showing Staryu who's bird, Dux hits level 23 when it gets a new move in Swords Dance. Swords Dance powers up the Pokemon's attack by 2 stages out of a possible 6. What this means in reality is that one Swords Dance doubles Dux's attack power, another brings it up to triple, and a third Swords Dance gives a 4 times multiplier on attack damage. Up against Starmie, I consider going for Swords Dance right away, but eventually settle on Peck. Misty uses an X Defend, and Dux KOs itself via confusion damage. Great! Let's try again. Misty goes for an X Defend straight away, and Dux obliges with a Peck. Bubble Beam does huge damage, and Dux loafs around. Water Gun brings Dux down to 2 HP, and this scene seems very familiar. Once again, performing under pressure, Dux gets 4 hits with Fury Attack, defeating Starmie, and becoming my loyal, obedient companion. At least for now. Once Dux hits level 31, it'll go back to being a jerk again, so we now need to carefully progress through the game to get the Rainbow Badge while gaining as few levels as possible. With me and Dux working as a team now, we bump into John. I asked him if he had the time, and he started throwing Pokeballs at me. How rude! I set up a Swords Dance, and he goes for Gust, which crits. I now hope to finish this in 1, but it takes 2 Pecks. Since Abra only has Teleport, I use this chance to set up 2 more Swords Dances for max attack power. It's now simply a case of Peck, Peck, and Peck. I soon defeat the 6 trainers on Nugget Bridge, which already brings Dux up to level 27. I fight the Hiker with the Onix, and thanks to Swords Dance, this is a walk in the park. By the time I reach Bill's house, Dux is at level 28, and by the time I reach the SS-An, it's level 29. I get the TM for Body Slam and replace Fury Attack. And after another fight with John, Dux is at level 30. Because of this, I choose to skip Lieutenant Surge for now. It's the Rainbow Badge I need. So I head off to Rock Tunnel, but thanks to the mandatory battles on the way, I reach the famous Hiker at level 33, with a bird that hates my guts, and this fight is a nightmare. The Hiker's exploding pet rocks take out Dux time after time, and it's just a case of getting good RNG, which finally comes around attempt 6 or 7. In In this fight, I was lucky enough to serve 2 portions of Swords Dance, converting Body Slam into Frozen Chicken Gun Attack, and turning Graveler into the waste product of a Flintstones factory. My avatar steps out into the sun and makes a beeline for Celadon City, where the oh-so-valuable Rainbow Badge is waiting to be won. Erica starts with her Victory Bell, which spams Wrap as usual. Despite the type advantage, Peck falls short, but I'm fortunate enough to get in a Swords Dance. From this point, I just need to peck away at her foliage monsters until she concedes defeat and gives me the key to Dux's heart. Time to get some liquid refreshments, forget to pick up Fly, and head back to Vermillion City to sort out Surge's recycling. He thanks me with a battle, which I'm over-leveled for, and I obliterate his team with Swords Dance and Poultry Slam. I could now use Fly if I had DHM, but I don't, so I walk back to Celadon to deal with some organised crime. Against Giovanni, I start with 2 turns of Swords Dance to activate triple power, and it's still not quite enough for the Rock Snake with its defense stat of 160. Dux then slams Rhyhorn, and the same treatment for Kangaskhan. Now at level 39, Dux learns Slash in favour of Peck. This, however, leaves me with nothing that can damage Ghost-type Pokemon. To fix this blunder, I grab the HM for Fly and overwrite Body Slam. In the Pokemon Tower, John greets me with a team of 5 Pokemon. Dux breaks in Slash, which has a 93.75% chance of getting a critical hit. I presume it uses its Leap for this, since it has no claws or talons. And wouldn't you know, it crits 5 times in a row. Shortly after, I poke my head into the Fuchsia City gym, but when Dux hits level 43, I start to get a little nervous that it might go past level 50 before I get the Marsh Badge. So, I decide to leave this gym for now and make Sabrina my priority. But first, as any responsible 10-year-old would, I need to single-handedly bring down a crime syndicate who are currently infesting an 11-story building in Saffron. This also means I need to fight John again, and this is usually the first fight with him that tends to be a little more difficult. Pidgeot outspeeds with a wing attack that crits, and I go for a Swords Dance. After another Swords Dance, I go for Slash, but my strategy is flawed, since critical hits ignore stat boosts. In other words, Swords Dance isn't helping Slash at all. Slash takes care of Growlithe, and then I go for Fly against Execute. Alakazam uses Confusion to bring Dux's HP down to 2, but my persistent bird smashes it into the ground with its leak. Blastoise uses Bubble, and Dux is defeated. Round 2! I go straight for Slash, but Pidgeot gets in first with a cheeky Sand Attack. In this fight, I decide to abandon any form of strategy and just continue to abuse Slash for the remainder of the battle. And eventually, we emerge victorious. I go into the Giovanni fight without even bothering to heal up. And did you know that the Roman Emperor Nero consumed leeks on the regular, believing they'd turn him into a singing sensation? It's also said that the troops fighting under the British King Cadwallader tucked leeks into their helmets to help identify friends from foes on the battlefield. Leeks are also an excellent source of vitamins A, K, and a variety of other micronutrients. It's no wonder they make such good weapons. I've also heard they are great for leek slapping the like button. With Dux's level still safely below 51, I take on the Marsh Badge challenge, employing the golden strategy of just use Slash. With Sabrina defeated, Dux's respect for me extends to level 70. Now onwards to snagging the rest of the shiny badges. I visit both Koga and Blaine and start a leek slashing party in each of their gyms. Now we can take on Giovanni again. I boost up Dux's attack while fighting the Rhyhorn, then instruct my bird to fly into the air and crash into each opponent one at a time. Come on. With all 8 badges obtained, I can now get into the more difficult portion of the game. Enter John, my ever discourteous rival. As per last time, no fancy footwork for Pidgeot, 2 doses of Slash, and it's down. I use the Rhyhorn for setup, firstly using Sand Attack 3 times, before using Swords Dance 3 times as well. I can now use a 4 times power Fly, but even that isn't quite enough. Slash conquers Growlithe. I then accidentally went for Slash on Execute, and it started charging off a Solar Beam, but I get another Slash in before it finished the attack. Slash makes short work of Alakazam, then 2 shots on Blastoise and the battle is won. Fast forward to the Indigo Plateau, with Dux at level 55, I bid farewell to my trusty HM slaves, save the game, and force feed 7 rare candies to my pet duck. Facing Unruly, Slash delivers a smashing blow to Dugong, but its Aurora Beam packs a wallop too. Cloyster is next on the hit list. I decide to play the long game with 3 Sand Attacks and 3 Swords Dances, but Dux takes a pounding with just 23 HP remaining. Dux swoops in with Fly for a near knockout, but Cloyster fires back with another Aurora Beam, ending my first league attempt in failure. Take 2, and I try setting up against Dugong this time, but Dux is grounded by 2 Aurora Beams. My third attempt goes much the same way. If Unruly is giving me this much trouble, I think it's time for some intensive training. Optional trainers, here I come! Having gained 5 levels, I return to the Indigo Plateau and get as far as Lapras this time. But on my next attempt, Dux is once again thwarted by Dugong. More training ensues, including a fiery showdown with a certain bird. Finally, at level 74, the tables start to turn. Slash obliterates Dugong in a single strike, and I proceed to set up against Cloyster. This time, a 4 times power Fly tears through Cloyster's defenses, securing a clean victory. Fly repeats its magic against Slowbro, Jinx, and even Lapras. Next up is Bruno. He sends out an Onix, and I get started setting up again. I then go for Fly, which is 2 shots against Onix. Fly dispatches the Hitmonduo, and the second Onix is another 2-shot battle. Fly brings down Machamp, and Bruno is done. Same strategy now for Agatha, setting up against the first Gengar and bringing it down with Fly. And after this, the rest of her team crumble to the power of Fly. Now I want to set up against Gyarados if possible, but this is a little more challenging. I go for 1 Sand Attack, and it uses Leer. I then switch straight to Swords Dance, and Gyarados fires a Hyper Beam, doing massive damage. With Gyarados recharging, I seize the opportunity for another Swords Dance, and then, to avoid getting hit again, I unleash Fly, which proves just enough to take Gyarados down. Now I knew I could benefit from using 1 more Swords Dance, but I go for Fly again against the 2 Dragonaires. The second one uses Agility, granting me a free badge boost, but then Dux levels up straight after, negating its effect. Lance then sends out Aerodactyl, which immediately makes Roast Duck with Hyper Beam. Now, rather than reloading the game, I decide to bag the EXP from that run, meaning I can start off at level 77. I breeze through the first 3 trainers, and this time I use Slash on Gyarados and it does the trick, no setup necessary. The 2 Dragonaires are defeated in the same fashion, meaning I can fight Aerodactyl with almost full HP. It goes for Supersonic, which fails, and Dux uses Slash, knocking off around 2/3. Aerodactyl uses Bite, and Dux finishes up with Slash. Slash now gets a rare non-critical hit on Dragonite, and with 1 more Slash, we are at the final battle of the game. I open with a decisive Slash for Pidgeot, and another for Alakazam. Rhydon is relatively harmless, so I take this chance to perform the Dance of Swords. Fly knocks off around 3/4, and then I switch to Slash, which turned out to be a mistake. Arcanine is easily taken care of with Slash. Fly for Exeggutor, but it misses, and Dux is stomped under the feet of a 120 kg egg-headed palm tree creature. Dux flies again, and Exeggutor is defeated. And in the final battle, with 1 last Fly, we are the champion. Now, this wasn't intended to be a speedrun or anything, I really just wanted to have some fun with Dux and thought it'd be nice to share that with everyone. Having said that, the run was completed with Dux at level 81 in 7 hours and 55 minutes. After finishing the run, I wanted to check out if I could get a second Dux, so I paid the house in Vermillion a visit to offer up a Spearow, but alas, the event flag had already been triggered. Never mind. A few last bits before I go. Firstly, I'd like to thank you immensely for watching the entirety of this video. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you haven't already, maybe check out my Pokémon Red Lugia solo run. There should be a link on your screen now. And until next time, you've been watching Porygondolier, and this is the end of the video. Bye!